you watching this video, let me show you exactly how to get approved for a personal loan through Navy Federal in 2025. This isn't about what used to work, it's about what works right now, based on real client data and how Navy Federal underwrites in today's space. I'm also gonna show you step-by-step on how to fill out the application so you can get approved. So what I want you to do right now is go grab your pen and paper, and without further ado, let's dive in. So before I get into the application process, I want to really deconstruct and reverse engineer everything when it comes to the personal loan, process, the road to the personal loan, whether you need $50,000, $20,000, no matter what it is. I want to make sure that you're set up for success because, like I said, the things that used to work in the past, it's not really going to work too much in today's space, how the economy is set up. And I'm gonna break all that down, later on in the video. But let's actually get into section 1, which is pretty much self-explanatory. To get the personal loan with Navy Federal, you must be a member first. The reason why I have to say this is because a lot of people always ask me this through emails and things like that, like, hey, can I just apply? And it's a respectful question because there are a lot of institutions out there, and I'm pretty sure that you know that you can apply for their credit products without actively being a member. But Navy Federal operates under a different umbrella, so you have to make sure that you are a Navy Federal member. And there are specific qualifications. If you didn't know, or if you already know, then you don't have to listen to this. But here are some ways on how you can become a member with Navy Federal. Number 1, you can either be a direct military affiliation. So if you're in the military, then you already have super access to them. Number 2, you can be a family member to someone who is military affiliated and has a Navy Federal account. So if it's your cousin or somebody, like your brother, your mother, anything like that, then you can have access to Navy Federal as well. Certain reps will tell you it can only be immediate family, but for the most part, if you have a family member, then you pretty much have access. Number 3, you can also live with somebody who qualifies, who is a Navy Federal member. So if they're a Navy Federal member and you live with them and you can show proof, then you can actually, become a member as well. The last thing I just want to say, just an honorable mention is you can get someone's access number. But just be a little careful with that, especially if once you get your access code, don't try to give that out to a lot of people, because if somebody does something that is unethical on Navy Federal's, radar, then sometimes they'll tie you to them. And if they close their account, then they'll close your account. But if somebody gives you the access code, you can utilize that and you can also get in as well. There are other videos online that can teach you how to get in, like backdoor methods and all that. You can try to search the YouTube space for that, but these are the pretty much standard ways on how you become a member. Now, you are a member, congratulations, or you already been a member. The next thing that I need you to do is open up a checking and or savings account, okay? This isn't optional. You need internal banking relationship points with Navy Federal to be considered serious for their credit products. So if you already had an account, you only have a checking account, just open up a savings account. It's no big deal. I'm not telling you to open up a CD account or anything, but just make sure that you have that checking and savings account. You're really just trying to build those internal points and build that relationship. Now, since we're on the topic of relationship, I just want to break down the difference in nowadays space with Navy Federal when it comes to personal credit versus the relationship. A few years back, it was common and easy to get approved, with 600, 620, having negatives on your report and still get approved, for their credit products just because you had that strong relationship with Navy Federal. I've personally seen people get $25,000 limits with 600 credit scores, negatives on their report. I've even seen people get approved for $20,000 loans simply just based off of the relationship with Navy Federal back then. But things have changed, okay? Today, due to the rising of defaults and also shifts in the economy, Navy Federal prioritizes personal credit over the relationship. Now, I'm not saying it's a wide gap because, it's still a credit union, but I'm pretty sure we've all seen these scandals and things like that Navy Federal's been in. So they want to keep their nose clean when it comes to allowing certain people to access their products. Does that make sense? So if you're one of those people that have a 650 and you're looking for a $50,000 loan, then you're gonna have to really change up some things before you go apply, because if not, you're just gonna get an inquiry that you don't want, that doesn't come with the credit product. So the first thing I need you to do is have at least a 680 credit score. Back then, again, you can have a 650. No, we need at least a 680, okay? No collections, no charge-offs on your account, okay? No recent late payments, especially in the past 24 months. So if you have any of these, you need to get these off, okay? You can definitely utilize me, or you can try to do it yourself, but you really need to clean that up before anything. The next thing is you need to have no hard inquiries on TransUnion in the last 6 months. If you have any inquiries, all right, you are going to be denied. Navy Federal is very inquiry sensitive, okay? So if you've gotten one maybe 3-4 months ago, there's a possibility that you could get denied. And the reason why I say TransUnion is because you just don't want any negatives on TransUnion. Now, I'm not, push for the advocate of somebody just cleaning their TransUnion. I always say clean all 3 boards, but because Navy Federal does pull from TransUnion, you want to make sure that you have all of that clean. You don't want, any negatives. I have seen people still get approved with maybe a super old collection on the credit report, but a lot of times you really want to remove that before you apply for anything. Your utilization needs to be under 30%. Normally, I tell people when they apply for credit products, if it's on the personal or business side, I always say under 10%. But when it comes to Navy Federal, they still prioritize, relationships. If you're under 30%, you're pretty much in a really good spot with them. Now, I've seen clients get approved while being slightly above 30% of the utilization, but just know this, it still increases your chances even higher of denials. And just to piggyback off of what I said earlier, as for collections and charge-offs, one old item might slide through, but having 0 negatives always gives you the highest approval odds and better loan limits, okay? So please keep that in the back of your mind when you're going through this process. Section 3, since we talked about the personal credit, let's go ahead and talk about strengthening the internal data points. Even though your credit leads the way, Navy Federal still has that internal scoring system to decide the loan limits and the rates. Just because you have a 700 credit score, that doesn't always mean that you're going to get the maximum benefits. So you really sometimes have to show Navy that you're really invested in them before they invest in you. So let me give you a few things that you can possibly do to really set everything up before you actively go fill out that application. Because I'm telling you, I'm not just giving you this stuff for no reason. I've done this with a lot of my clients and it always works time and time again. This is the right formula to do this. So here's how to boost your internal points. Number 1, use the pledge loan. Ladies and gents, understand that you can just take $250 or $1,000 from your savings and secure it as a pledge loan. This creates an installment account on your report and shows Navy you understand how to use their product. And there's no credit check. So you might as well just use it. If you're about to pay a bill or something, or you just have some money laying around, use it as a pledge loan. Pay 90%, 95% off, get your money back and then put the rest on auto pay. So now you're building those internal points and you're building your credit all at the same time and improving the diversity of your credit profile. That's 3 for the price of 1. Number 2, set up direct deposit, okay? This is a non-negotiable, especially when you're trying to go for their personal loans or any of their high limit, credit products. Make Navy your primary bank. That means your paycheck should hit this account first, okay? Navy likes to lend to people whose money flows through them. It shows loyalty and stability in their eyes. Now, I'm not saying that you have to keep them as your primary bank, but if you're about to apply for the loan, just change your only thing you have to do, talk to your job, tell them to just change over, your routing information, everything to Navy Federal, and then, just do that for maybe like a month or something like that. Get paid twice, just show it coming in, and then now you're building those internal points, and now you're showing Navy, a different side of you. Number 3, please, no overdrafts or negative balances, okay? If your checking account is going negative, fix it, all right? Fix it. Navy uses that data. So overdraft history makes a difference between approvals and denials. If you had negative $11 in your account, and I don't care if you had $1,000 now, do you really think that they're gonna approve you for what you're looking for? No, they're not. So please understand this. you have to be in the mind of the underwriter when it comes to this. They're gonna see everything that you've been doing. So please keep your nose clean when it comes to that. No overdrafts. And number 4, which is kind of optional because the other 3 are really gonna help you, but I just wanted to give you this. Use other Navy products as well. So if you have really good credit, try to use one of their unsecured credit cards, deposit accounts and other regular, services. It really adds to the overall Navy profile, and that also matters as well. Now, I'm not telling you to go get a credit card just to get the personal loan, but it really is optional. But it's just something to think about if you're thinking about long haul, is trying to get the maximum benefits from Navy Federal. Now in this list, I just want to talk about understanding the personal loan itself. So you did everything that I told you in the beginning. So now let's get into the personal loan section, okay? Navy Federal personal loan is unsecured 100%. And if you've already been doing your homework, you already knew that. So you don't need to pay it back with collateral. Here's what the loan typically offers as in the making of this video, because anything can change. Always fact check everything that I'm telling you. The loan amounts range from $250 all the way up to $50,000, all right? And the terms can be from 12 months all the way to 60 months. Then the funds are usually deposited within 1 business day. I have seen some people, they get it within a few hours, but it's typically that 1 business day depending on what day you apply for it. Interest rates are very depending on your credit profile and your Navy internal point system. And always remember, in case you didn't know, just a quick gem, your credit score makes up your interest rate. So the higher score, the lowest interest rate that you can possibly get, or whatever they have to offer. So just understand that moving forward, which is why I always tell you guys that kind of have like a 680, 690, kind of helps your chances a little more as well as far as utilization. Not utilization, I'm sorry, interest. Also, this card is ideal for debt consolidation. So if you have, cards or multiple cards with, balances on there that's hard for you to pay off because of the interest, things of that nature, you can definitely use this for, eating up all of that, consumer debt into one place. So now you're not paying 45 different places, and now you only have to pay one place, and it also lowers your utilization. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I know I said in the beginning, make sure everything's not slightly above 30%. If you have consumer debt, of course, it might be over 30%, but that just means that you have to adjust the amount that you're looking for. If you're looking for $50,000, but you have 100% utilization, you might as well just that's not gonna do it. Because consolidating with Navy into one lower monthly payment can always save you money on interest, lower your utilization like I just mentioned to you earlier, and then also raising your score within 30 to 45 days in many cases, especially if it's eating up utilization. That's the second highest on the credit wheel. So you imagine what you're actively going to see. So now that you have all that information right there, let's actually get into the application process so I can show you step by step on what you need to put and look out for so you actually get approved. Okay, ladies and gents, so I just want to go over the personal loan section. So when you get to Navy Federal, of course, you're going to click on loans. You want to be on the personal side. And then this is pretty much what you're going to see as in the making of this video. So when you see this, they do have a few different types that you can do. Of course, we're going to go over the personal expense loan. That's what we're going to be applying for right now. Again, $250,000 to $50,000. Pretty good. Okay, interest rate at this time. They do have home improvement loans as well. I don't have a lot of information on that, which is why I really don't talk about it. But home improvement loans. Now, I know that they have debt consolidation loans, but I also told you that you can use the personal expense loan for debt consolidation. I just want to tell you right now, it really doesn't matter what you actively use, but it's really just on you. I think with the debt consolidation, I had to call the rep to ask, but I think with the debt consolidation location, I think you have to give them the debt that you have, and I think that you have to tell them where it is, like, so they can actually pay it, so they're not just giving you a loan. Please fact check me on that. I still have to do my research on that because I haven't done it in a few months. But yeah, but I know just with the personal loan, they put the money in your account and you can do it yourself. And I hope that you'll be a responsible adult and actively do it and not try to use it for something else. They also have the secured, savings loan, certificate secured loan, things of that nature. But let's actually get into the expense loan and go ahead and apply. Okay, so once you sign up and once you get into the application status, this is how it's going to look. it actually looks a little shorter than what it used to look like, but I just want to go into, just all the tricks and trades of what you need to do and what you need to look out for. So when they go for number one, as far as tell us about your finances, you're going to start with employment status, of course, because the employment status is really going to dictate whether you get approved or denied. Now, there's going to be a drop down box with a few, options. Guys, just number one, if you are a entrepreneur, if you work for yourself, or anything, please do not click self-employed. Do not click that. I know you are. I know you make a lot of money. I know you're well off. You're good. Your business is doing great. But you have to understand, from the underwriter's mindset, they always think the worst before they think the best. So if you're self-employed, there's a statistic that shows that a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, meaning that you're not generating $4 to $10 million in revenue every single year, that you can't access corporate credit, so you're technically small business, that they pretty much have a high turnover rate. We all know this, especially if you're a business owner. So you don't want to put this, because they're going to think in their mind, okay, they're literally one step away from, losing everything, knowing that you're not. I know that you're not. You know that you're not. But that's how they think. So if you are self-employed, do not put this. You're going to go to private employer. And this is for people that also are, just working a regular job, but they're not actually in government services. You're always going to click private employer, okay? And then once you click private employer, this is where you're going to put your information right here. So that you're going to put your business. So if you work for yourself, you're going to put your LLC or your S corporation. If you, wherever you guys work, whether it's a firm, any places that you work, you're always going to put the name right here. All right. So that's what you're going to do. Another thing I just want to also talk about, if you're retired, I know it's going to sound crazy. If you're retired, do not put that you are retired, okay? The reason why is because the underwriter thinks that your income is limited. So they're going to automatically think that you are desperate. Even if you check all the boxes of what I stated earlier. Your credit is intact. You have the internal points, but you're retired. Now that's a big red flag. I'm not telling you to lie, but try to use private employer, just for anything. I don't care if it's volunteering, but you get paid on it. It doesn't matter. Just try it. All right. I haven't seen too many people with success who are retired. Maybe you have. Maybe you can tell me in the comment section. But I'm just telling you from the data points that I've been able to collect. And the last thing, do not click you're not employed, because anyway. So we're gonna go back to private employer. Whatever your employment status is, that's what you're gonna put right here. Whatever it is, all right? Now, the length of employment, this actually makes a big difference as well, okay? The reason why I state that is because they want to see how stable you are, okay? So if you're stable in that business, whether it's your business or you've been working at this place for a specific amount of time, then this is really going to help you. So always put that. If you're pretty much above 3 years, you're really good. So let's say you were 6 years and 10 months. That's great. If you're 1 year, that's kind of a red flag. You're kind of, walking that red line. The reason why is because they think that you're not stable. So, just try to be like 4 years or more. I'm not telling you to lie, but, just try to be careful with that. The next thing, total annual income. Now, this plays a factor because this is all about DTI. Now we're getting into debt to income ratio, ladies and gents. This is a loan that you're getting with tangible money that's going to be put into your account. So they have to make sure that this makes sense for them, not you, for them. So let's just say, for example, you make $65,000 a year. Do not expect to get a $50,000 loan, okay? The reason why is because it does not fit into the debt to income ratio. That's $15,000 less than what you make every single year. Why would they feel comfortable giving you this? Now, I know there are some outliers out there, but you have to be realistic when it comes to this. If you make $65,000, you might get a $15,000 loan. You might get a $20,000, maybe a $20,000 loan, depending on your relationship. But to get that 50, you're probably gonna have to make like $110,000 a year. I'm not telling you to put this, but that's just what I'm telling you, okay? or like $120,000 or something. All right. So whatever you make, that's what it's going to be. And then they can just kind of, generate your monthly income, because that's generally, before taxes, where you're going to be looking at, no matter where you live. Now, the housing type, and you can read this, of course, the wages, retirement benefits, public assistance, things of that, and yada, 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 but you can always put that, okay? Now, housing type. This really doesn't play too much of a factor, but then it does. If you're renting, I'll talk about renting in a second. If you're not responsible for housing, I'm not too fond of this, but I know there are some people that, they're starting over. They might be staying at their parents' house or something, which is nothing wrong with that, especially if you have a plan. Hey, I really don't have the responsibilities. I save my money, I work here, and I'm just trying to really build everything up. Then you could possibly put this, but I don't really, I don't know. I'm just not. I don't want to talk about something that I'm not too keen on, or I have too much information on. So I'm just gonna leave that alone. Government quarters, that's fine. Own home, paying mortgage, you'll have to put the amount. Same thing for renting. Now, ladies and gents, understand that this plays a part in your DTI. I'm going to continuously say that, all right? So you can't make $65,000 and then your high rise is $5,000 because you live in Miami, all right? If your monthly payment is $5,000 and your monthly income before taxes is $5,000, that leaves you with $417, okay? $417. So you have to understand, when you get that, loan, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, they always think, how can that monthly payment fit into their monthly, income that they generate? How can that work? That's what they're looking at. So if your thing is $5,000, that's not going to work. All right. I'm not telling you to lie, but I'm just saying, if you make $1,000, that looks way better, or it's $1,200, that's way better. You see what I'm saying? So, just don't overboard. And if you do pay $5,000 or $3,000 a month, and you only do this every single month, then something needs to change. You need to do some soul searching when it comes to finances. But I digress. Let's continue to move forward. You can also ask for a co-borrower. If you want to do that, they have to be a Navy Federal member. But this is the part that I wanted to show you when it comes to, the loan amount. All right. So let's just say, you're asking for 20,000. All right. Look at this. And let's say you go for the jugular, 60 months or whatever, right? Estimated monthly payment, $471 to $512. So ladies and gents, if your high rise or whatever is $5,000, that leaves you with $417 before taxes. How does this fit in there? How does that fit in there? You see what I'm saying? That's what they're thinking about as far as DTI. And then if you want $50,000, like, that's definitely not going to work. Look at that. It's $1,100. That's really eating up into the monthly cost. That's why I'm telling you, like, you have to be realistic when it comes to, how much you make, how much you bring home, and what you're asking for, okay? But if you're asking for, like, 17,000 and it's 60 months, $400. See what I'm saying? So this is what you want to be, just keeping in mind, kind of doing some math and things like that. So really make sure that this makes sense. I know your monthly payments are probably not $5,000, but I just want to, just show you that. See what I'm saying? Even if it's $1,000 off, that leaves you with $4,400 before taxes. Now it's like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. But let's just keep it moving. Now, the next thing that they're going to ask you are, do you want to set up automatic payments? You definitely can. I recommend it, especially if you have a lot going on, so you don't miss any payments. You don't want any late payments, especially with Navy Federal. You want to keep that good, relationship going with them. And then after that, you pretty much just submit your application. Just make sure you read over everything. Make sure you read the terms and agreements. Make sure everything works for you. And then it pretty much, after that's an electronic signature, all right? After that, they're going to, after that, they're really going to, just ask, how do you want the funds? Do you want it in a check where we send it to you, or do you want a direct deposit just directly into your account? if you're approved. A lot of times I do believe that you should just get it, just sent in your account. And then after that, if you don't want to use Navy Federal as your primary bank and you want to switch back over, your direct deposit, you can. You did your due diligence. You got approved. You got everything that you wanted to do. You're fine after that. Now you can use this loan for whatever you want responsibly. All right. So this, in a nutshell, is basically how the loan process goes. But I just really wanted to give you the information and data points of what you need to do before you go apply, because a lot of people just have a 680 credit score and they try to apply and they don't get approved, and it's like you missed some steps. So that's why. But if there are a few of you that can't get approved because you have just a numerous amount of negatives, collections, charge-offs on your credit report and things of that nature, what I want you to do is sign up for my How to Credit Start program. And in this program, I'm going to help you remove those negatives off your account. So then after that, what I can do is we can go apply for a personal loan, or get you a personal loan so you can get, things started, whatever you're trying to do. And then you can also get, business funding. You can go get an auto loan through Navy Federal. You can go get a home loan through Navy Federal. So many things. Your credit is important, ladies and gents. So if you have that issue, if you feel like you can't, you don't have time to really work on your credit, or you really don't know what's going on, then you can definitely utilize me. But if you definitely want to try it yourself, I have a lot of step-by-step videos on my YouTube channel that can help you for free to help you do it from there. But I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I really hope that this helps you guys. I really just want to give you some updated data points. But yeah, go crazy. Hope it works. And until next time, ladies and gents.